Alex, thanks again for
Kurt.
having a chat. Tell everyone where you're from, what you do, just quickly.
Yeah, my name's Alex Campbell. I've got a building company called Tallwood Custom Built Homes, and we're based in Busselton, which is about 2.5 hours south of Perth in Western Australia. Clocked over 25 years and 26 this year, so beating the odds and the averages at the moment.
Absolutely, man. So we met in 2014. That's been a long journey. Tell us what changes you've made since then, because it's been like for everyone, it has its ups and downs. Yeah.
Probably like most builders, for the first 10 years of my company life, I just had my head down, bum up. Whilst I was a member of the HIA and the MBA, wasn't very active in either. Basically just surviving with the family and the business. And after the GFC, that was a challenge for those old enough to know what a GFC is. It's like COVID, but probably even worse, unfortunately. I had 8 supervisors back in 2009, and by 2010 I had 1. So as a luxury home builder, the government didn't really support us, not like COVID when they had JobKeeper. Basically they had plenty of money for commercial builders and for project builders, but luxury builders not so much. So it was an interesting way back. I had also been involved in some development projects in consortiums, and the local Bank West in WA at the time also happened to be insolvent, and they wanted all their money back. So there were some challenging years, and leading into that is when I sort of met Kurt, and that was through West Builders, which is a co-op of about 150 similar builders to myself in Western Australia. It started at the start of the boom of 2008, when people, there's nothing new here, you couldn't get materials or trades. So basically West Builders formed to create a cooperative so that they'd have a better buying power, more like the project builders. So still a member of West Builders after 9 years, and I met Kurt, what I refer to as our speed dating. Basically Kurt had 15 minutes to deliver his normal 40-minute presentation, and he was primarily there to promote his 2-day Builders Boot Camp in Sydney, and that was in the 7th of November 2014.
All right, yeah. Nice and specific. So, and then you came to that 2-day event.
Yeah.
Mark Boris was there as well, just a name drop.
Yeah.
Just looking for validation from you guys. And you, and then off the back of that, you made some changes. Right?
Indeed,
and
yes.
then, yeah, so just talk us through some of the specific changes, because, and the mindset associated with it.
Cool. So certainly, once again, for those old enough to know, the Yellow Pages, when they were they were Google of the day. If your business was not in Yellow Pages, you didn't exist. And to have as much exposure as possible, the larger and more expensive ad, you might even have a colour picture. You've got the prominent position in the Yellow Pages. So by 2014, that was on the way out, and through Kurt, I was introduced to Amanda from Sea Salt Marketing. So up until 2014, yes, I had the same clunky website that everyone else had at the time, and so it's really through meeting Kurt and Amanda that we've gone into the social media, which is really now the new Yellow Pages, and obviously video in that space is the biggest, most colourful photo you can get. So that's takes a lot of time if you try and do it yourself, which I've tried to. So from today, I know that I need to invest more in paid video content.
So expanding your marketing presence, marketing, selling in advance, you can communicate, what you do well, like we talk about all day, and then your sales process changed quite significantly as well at that top end of town.
Not as much as you would like, Kurt, but it really comes down, in the luxury home market, it really comes down to word of mouth and referrals. In the last 15 years, we've received the Southwest HIA Home of the Year 5 times. Got the State Awards next Friday for a home that we built for John Flecker, name dropping, who's the world CEO of Multiplex. So if you want to know what pressure is when you're building someone's home, thankfully he was a really great guy with a great architect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
tell us about some of your learnings, like, and what was the most difficult thing for you to overcome in making the changes?
It was interesting. So from 2014 until 2020 when COVID hit, I had a lot of involvement with Curtin, was over in Sydney predominantly for a couple of times a year with some masterminds. And it was really, really frustrating being a West Australian builder where we were in a recession. I know all around Australia there aren't enough houses, but basically the state government just took their eye off the ball, and the number of builds went from that to that. So, I think we're meant to build about 25,000 houses a year. 2019 there was 10,000. So the cliff was there, but no one was looking at it. So I had to compete on price. Some negotiated tenders, but predominantly on price, which is a horrible, horrible way to be a builder. And I can only implore all of you to not do it if you can, and do. So therefore, if you don't want to compete on price, you have to compete on your reputation and your profile.
Right. It's a difficult environment to be in, right? You guys can all obviously attest to that. But the big news is, you told me last night, so you joined the 7-Figure Club.
I did.
Recently.
Yep.
Through all of that, so
yes.
Congratulations. Just
Thank you.
Yeah. And so tell us what that feels like, because I mean, 9 years of just staying the course, and that's why I wanted you guys to hear Alex's story, because it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Feels like you're walking through molasses at the best of times. But if you do just stay the course, you can eventually break through, right?
Yeah. So first of all, if you're in this game and you don't feel that you've got the mental strength to do it, get out of it. Do it now. Walk out of this room and don't do it anymore, because it is fucking hard. It is really, really hard. The number of different opportunities that life has presented me is phenomenal, and Curtin I had a good talk about it last night, and I'm probably only half of it. So if yes, you're going to be a builder and you're going to stay in the building industry, do all you can to make sure that all of your personal relationships are really strong, because nothing is harder than going through a divorce as a builder. You've got assets you've got to maintain, you've got relationships you've got to maintain. Look after your mental health and look after your physical health. It's really, really critical. All the money in the bank means nothing if you don't have those things to support you. So, yeah. Start of 2020, the first 6 months of COVID, it was obviously very tough. I certainly didn't know whether we were going to be signing another contract that year. That was before the bonuses came through. On top of the overdraft, had to go to Westpac and ask for another 200,000. So we get a bit humiliated by the bank manager in doing so. So 2021, 21, 22, $650,000 profit, and the last financial year, 1.16 million.
Okay, brilliant. Nice, man.
And COVID has been the best thing for my company, because we no longer compete against any other builder, and in our area, no builder will. And also, we can now hold our margin and improve on our margin and not discount our margin.
So that's something you mentioned last night, is the mindset around margin, because before, and I think this relates to you seeing yourself as the prize, you should see your clients as a prize, and I think from memory, you quoted on like a $30 million build, right, once, resi, right, like people that own mines over in WA. So it's easy to imagine or to see why you would see them as the prize, right? They've got all the money, they can work with any builder, but you were able to at some point start pushing back, right? And standing your ground with margin.
So whatever margin you're prepared to set really exists in your own head. I'm sure probably no one here would consider themselves a salesperson, but we are all salespeople, and we can sell because we have belief in our product and in our people. So that's what our clients are buying, and that's what you have to deliver. I know time's short. I met my wife when we were both 37, and Deb had been happily married, but her first husband didn't want to have children. And anyway, at the age of 36, he told her, that's it, go and find another man who'll give you a baby, because I can't. So we met at 37. between 37 and 39, we had a couple of miscarriages, and time was running out. And Deb was very, very frightened of having IVF, but we went to a specialist. And this guy just gave us the confidence. He said, right, I know exactly what's going on. You know, you're ovulating in 26 days, you're meant to ovulate in 28 days to have a baby. We'll do this, we'll do that. And within 3 months, she was pregnant, and now we have an 18-year-old son. So it's that, the confidence and expertise that the surgeon gave just settled my wife down. Gave us, and we've all built big houses and had relationships with clients for 4 or 5 years. Imagine choosing that relationship based on dollar. It makes no sense at all. So you have to give your clients the confidence that you are the right builder and that you're going to deliver for them.
I love it, man. That is brilliant. Mick, the accountant, this morning was talking about like having a business you can sell, valuation, all that sort of thing. You've got a succession plan. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's really good having a business that is actually sellable. Now, there's been plenty of times through the ups and downs where that wasn't the case. So I've been through 3 lawyers trying to work out a succession plan. My key man that I employed 8 years ago, at the interview stage, we talked about the fact that I would he'd be possibly coming into succession planning. As I say, I've been through 3 lawyers trying to work it all out. I get to 3 conversations and they just ghost me. It was too hard. So through my accountant and I, we worked out a strategy. We just had the business valued, assets, goodwill, etc., 2.56 million. I've got my 2 senior supervisors who have agreed that they'll come in as partners. So we set the date of June 2029 when I'll be 65 then, with the view that we've got 5 years for them to come in, really know the system, have skin in the game. They'll have the confidence to know that there'll be basically 6 years of building that's happened, that they really know exactly what's going on, so they're not nervous about, latent problems, etc. And the agreement is that whilst I'll come on as non-financial directors probably in the next year or 2, that on that anniversary we'll have the company revalued and they'll pay 50% of the value and I'll give them the other 50%. That way it's a win-win for everything. It means that if all goes well, as long as I keep the company straight and true, increase our margins, increase the value of the company, then basically I'll be able to walk out the door with a cheque in my pocket and they'll just continue on.
How good's that? Yeah. That's a great setup, man. And they're not going anywhere for 5 years. No. And you're in the 7-figure club, so you just got to replicate that for 5 more years, keep the value up.
I've got to put a 2 in front of the first figure now.
Exactly, yeah. Get a bigger payday. They'll be happy as well.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant.
Yeah. To give a bit of context, I've just got approval through my homeowner's warranty for 20 million turnover, just as a point of interest for anyone in the audience who don't know where they're at, but sort of that's where we're at.
Excellent. Guys, any questions? Any questions for Alex on that? No?
Cool.
You look great for your age, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So look at it in the mirror.
All right. Okay. Was that worth it, guys?